Hey guys, long week. Let's do our stretches, catch up a little bit. Holy moly! Let's see here. Scar, looking good. Feel like they didn't do a lot of progress today at the PT with the metal tool that they work on breaking it up with. Just do some stretches, pronate, supinate. Um, yeah, tough week. Had a 9-hour IT gig on Tuesday. It's good to get paid, but I haven't worked that long straight through in a long time, and it was just a little different than what I've been doing for months. But I guess it was COVID restrictions are dropped here in San Francisco, and so all of a sudden people wanted help again, and yeah, we still even though with the restrictions dropped, maybe because the restrictions were dropped, it was done in a we did it over a video conference, and uh, I hadn't actually done that much. I've used Discord and Zoom and stuff over the pandemic, no problem, but I hadn't done a big long conference here. And generally, as independent contractor, sole proprietorship for my company, usually a little more in control of what's going down, and they're not so long scenarios. Uh, and this felt a lot like someone at the company was pitching how they felt and wanted the legitimacy of having presented it to dissenting voices, or at least to in front of voices that could potentially dissent. Uh, and then it was like, well, yeah, we did that big presentation. There were IT people there, and they didn't really have anything to say. It's like, uh, whatever. It wasn't bad. It was just really long, a little out of my control, and uh, wasn't something I had done before, and it just kind of wore me out. And then, other than that, a lot of plans have just been falling through. Oh, luckily, yesterday's thing got rescheduled to today, and we finally pulled that out. But in general, just getting people are just not showing up, bailing out. I'm tired. I'm tired of that. I'm tired from the work thing, and then I'm tired of the lack of commitment. I don't know what to say. I don't want to like overstate it, but it's a little tiresome. I haven't put up any videos. I don't like that either. Um, I think I need to, kind of like I was saying about the consult gig, I need to take more control, do these things on my own terms, like as things that I'm doing, and then perhaps other people are involved, instead of things that are dependent on the cooperation. Uh, it's just too hard. I can't mentally, I can't handle it. I was just raised very differently. I don't I don't bail on people, or at least if I see it coming, like the thing that happened yesterday wasn't that bad, because I got the notification earlier in the day, and they were, repentant and said, let's do it, this day or that day. What do you say? And I said, let's just do it Friday then. Let's do it. And then we did it. And that, but coming on the heel of stuff falling through on a Sunday, and on a Monday, and then Tuesday being a long work day, and then things falling through on a Wednesday, things falling through on a Thursday, and finally getting something done on Friday. It's just tough. We might see Kray back in action pretty quick here, maybe as soon as Sunday. He's back home and he's doing okay. He's still a little nervous there. He's doing what he needs to do to make himself feel okay, and being back in the swing of things. I don't know that what actually happened will ever end up on the channel. It's up to him. But we've been doing some Sniper Elite Contracts 2 he's been playing through, and it's just kind of popcorn junky fun gameplay that's good to comment over, like play and comment over. He's enjoying himself and he isn't getting too frustrated. So might be a good thing to record. I'm always frustrated. Sometimes I want to just hit record without telling people and then tell them afterwards. But I think it's like ethically, you can't. There's no like excuse there to. You can't like record people without telling them. I mean, legally you can't, but in California, single party consent state, whatever. But I'd rather him know he's, but sometimes it changes people's stuff. I feel like some of the things he and I have done casually, if I just hit record and then afterwards said, "Dude, would you mind? I recorded it." Like I think it would have been great stuff. And but like I said, you can't do that. You can't do that. I played through Control. Was a tremendous game. The structure of it is a little screwed up because I was playing like the complete, maybe Game of the Year edition is easier. It was like it had all the DLC rolled into it, and so at some point I was like, oh, all this Alan Wake stuff is happening. This is really interesting because I played Alan Wake back when it came out on 360, and I thought it was really neat that it's all showing up in here. And then I was like, wait a minute, I got like an achievement and I went to look at it and it was like in a subheader of like the Alan Wake DLC essentially. I was like, crap, okay. And then that, I say, affected the pacing because I was running through the main game and then we went into this huge DLC that then I went back to the main game, because it was kind of, it's like a thing that was bolted on. And the pacing, I think, effed up the main game's pacing, because once I knew I was in a DLC and I had suspicions, I realized basically you walk into this Alan Wake chunk of the game and it's this huge map, just like a whole new chunk, the game has these huge layers of maps as you go through this office building, and it was a whole nother level, and it had tons of cutscenes and dialogue and things to read and newspapers and then audio logs, and the game isn't designed to necessarily let you listen to an audio log while you keep playing it. You have to stop and go into a menu and play it, and they're all about 1 minute to 2 minutes long, and there's like 50 of them or something, and it was just like geek, and the main game story had been going, and this is a side story. And while it added flavor to the universe, it didn't progress that story. And then I made it through the Alan Wake stuff and went back to the main game, and the Alan Wake stuff as DLC, I think, was also extremely harder in the combat scenarios. And so when I went back to the normal game, I was like so strong from leveling up and finding power-ups and dealing with this more difficult DLC, that when I bopped back into there, I was like, well, it's just shotgun things as you're running like a madman. So, but that game is amazing. I wouldn't say that should chase anyone off from playing it. It was just phenomenal. It is a game that you gotta be into if you play it and you like the scenario and you like reading things you find and learning about the universe that's getting built and being okay with some dialogue and sitting down and going through dialogue trees and talking to some people and then also doing a bunch of combat. It really, I felt like the world building and the build-up was like amazing, and then it hit like this like so much world, less story. It was just a little bit off with the DLC mixed into the main story. I think maybe if the main story had just gone with no DLC, would have been fine. And then when you beat it, there's an additional DLC called The Foundation that just opened up, and I feel like that sidesteps the issue of the Alan Wake DLC, because now you finished the story, and if you want some more, here you go. And it's almost backstory prequels type stuff as you go through an area of the bureau. That was how it was like found, the foundation, how it was founded, literally in the foundation of the building. Yeah, if you're looking for something with just like a bunch of fun, different storytelling, crazy, like non-Euclidean geometry stuff going on. And then also some fun combat. That's I think I made some wise decisions because you have points and you level up and you distribute them in a tree. And I bought power ups that didn't necessarily give me more health because you are a little fragile, and I was always a little fragile because I didn't necessarily buy the health stuff. I equipped more health, have more health items, but I didn't buy the skills that give you more health. And by the time I had some points to spare, instead of having more powerful attacks and more like different options on the abilities, then I was buying more health, and then I felt like I was really a force to be reckoned with in the game. You could still, because I didn't necessarily invest a ton in health. I think you could still die kind of easily. I think I made a wise decision early on by not buying much like melee damage stuff because I was like, you don't melee stuff. You have a gun. It's just not that kind of game. You get meleeed and it hurts like shit, but wasn't a game where you run around punching everyone. I don't even think if you doubled your punch damage and equipped like more damage after punching, like I think if you invested entirely into punching, maybe there still would be enemies that like pop up next to you, and if you like trade a punch with them, they're gonna basically kill you. I don't think it would be an invalid tactic if you invested in it correctly, but I was quite happy with. I don't want to spoil it too much, but with the powers I had chosen and the build I had chosen, when I then got a little more health to work with, has a ton of like modifications and things you can equip on your weapons and your abilities and your character, but they didn't. They in the DLC added even more creative ones, and I think it's like a game that's like amazing. Like storytelling is like 9.0, 10.0 or something, and then like gameplay is like 7. It's not bad, and I give a 7. I think a 7 is okay. 7 is bad if you're like getting a Game Pro score or something, but it's hardly bad. But it wasn't good. And there were technical issues with it being on PlayStation where I played it. But like a beautiful looking game. I love that it had like live action cutscenes. It worked really well. Yeah, great game. Check it out without a doubt if you're looking for the things I'm saying. Might jump into Final Fantasy VII Remake. It was a freebie recently that I picked up, offered for free, so I grabbed it. And I remember that game a lot from going like early years of college. Like all my high school friends had moved away, and I stayed, and I went to state in San Francisco State, and a lot of my friends like moved away and went to college, and it was crazy. I was like it was like starting all over again. It was, and you know, maybe you start all over again in San Francisco. You go to like K through 5 school, or really first grade, 5th grade, 6, 7, 8 as middle school, 9, 10, 11, 12 as high school, and then college. So there's like most of the time you move to a different school in these scenarios, and you go to school through the 5th grade, and all of a sudden you go to middle school, and you're like, what is this? There's these huge kids and crap, and I have to build all these new. Most of the time it's like a new school, and you need new friends. Your old friends still exist, but they don't go into the same school. And then you go to high school, and you're like, it's like even more extreme version of it. At least the older kids aren't like the utter demons that like 8th graders are versus like 6th graders in middle school. But suddenly here we were doing it again. Like now I'm going to college, and I got to like make new friends and stuff all over again. And it, and then I had Final Fantasy VII in my hands, and it was like this game I could just get lost in and play, and it didn't matter if I had anyone to like hang out with. It was hundreds of hours long. I think I had a shitty manual, not a manual, but a guide, one of those like $7 to $10 guides you used to get back then, like all full color crap. So, but the game was huge. The game was just so fucking huge, and I know this remake is different, and so I am interested in that. Like I remember Final Fantasy 7 as this just weird, this game that was there and was different but somewhat familiar because it was Final Fantasy, but it was very different from 6, which is where my mind was going. From 6 to 7, very different, polygonal versus sprites and smaller parties and active time. Yeah, it was kind of some active time in 6. And Here's Bahamut. Oh, he was in the other games and stuff, but it was different. It was like college again, and I wouldn't say I like loved it. I was a little too old for it to be some formative experience for me. I understand why it would be for other people. I'm just interested to see what they've done to like tweak it and see what jumps out when I play it. Do I remember about Final Fantasy VII when I played it when it was relevant? I don't know. Maybe it's just too long to get invested in the. There was some points in Control where I was like, this is a huge game, and I kind of love it, and then I realized because of the DLC that it wasn't quite as big as I thought, and it was actually a lot closer to the end. It has a really cool sequence known as the Ashtray Maze. That's not going to be much of a spoiler, just knowing that name, but it's near the end of the game. You might find the Ashtray Maze early, but you're not getting through it. It's a maze that you need a key item to get through. And then when you have that item, holy crap, is it an experience. And the character literally says at the end, like, that was fucking awesome. And they're like, yeah, pretty cool stuff. Maybe talk some more next time around. Maybe do another video in the middle of the week because this was fun to just sit here and talk. But let's get out of here. It's already long enough as it is. All right, guys. Hopefully maybe get something up on Sunday night for you guys to watch other than just my yapping face. And maybe catch up with Kray would be cool and stuff. All right, guys. So see you. Like, subscribe. Help me out. It helps. Love it.